Welcome to the Education Exchange. I'm your host, Superintendent Jeremy Caius, here at the Tolleson Union High School District, and here to tee off our conversation on transportation. I have with us Bert. Bert, would you like to give yourself an introduction to the audience?
Hi, absolutely. My name is Bert Herzog. I'm the Director of Transportation, proudly, of Tolleson Union High School District.
Well, Bert, one of the things we want to get into is talking about how everyone can proudly join that team of yours. We're gonna talk about what it looks like to be a bus driver here at the Tolleson Union High School District. But first things first, if they like what they hear today, what do they need to do to go apply?
Absolutely. So if they go on our Tolleson Union High School website, go to the HR department, you can click on job opportunities. Bus driver is always going to be on there. It's definitely on there. Click on that, do the application. As soon as I see an application, we are bringing people in the next day if you're available. We'll get you in for an interview. We start that process, get it done, get it through HR. Get you to there's a few things that you have to do. You have to be able to pass a DOT physical. We'll send you for all of that. You have to study. There are four tests that they have to pass for a Class B license or Class D license, Class B license. Sorry, Class B license. You have to have a general knowledge test. You have to have endorsements of air brakes, passenger, and school bus endorsements on there. So there are four tests that they have to pass. Once they do that, bring them in. We start training them. We pay them for all the training. So,
all right. So what does that look like right now in terms of needing more bus drivers, the spots you have available for more bus drivers, and what people need to do to come drive a bus?
Great question. We are just like every other district in that I don't think that any district is fully staffed when it comes to bus drivers in the Valley. There are a lot of districts that have to cancel routes on a daily basis because they just do not have the drivers. Fortunately, at Tolleson, we are better off. Tolleson pays better than any district in the state, and so we definitely do need drivers. Just today alone, I got to be in dispatch because my dispatch team was all out driving. So we absolutely need drivers. Great place to work. We do paid training for our drivers. Once we bring you in, get you hired, you have to go pass a test to get your permit. Once that's done, once you come in after that, we pay you for everything. It's 20 hours behind the wheel. It's 14 hours of classroom time. It's CPR first aid. It's all the things that you need to do. But again, Tolleson pays for all of that. Drivers work, a split shift, which is great for some people. They love the same schedule that their students are on. There are a lot of benefits to working at Tolleson as a bus driver.
All right, so we're gonna pay for all the training. So essentially, all they need to come in is with the desire to want to be a bus driver.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because when we do interviews, we talk to people they're like, I don't know if I want to be able to drive a big bus like that. I don't know if I could. And we take people that drive Priuses in, and by the time our training team is done, they're parallel parking a 40-foot bus. It's part of the things that they have to do in order to pass the last test, their road test and everything. They can parallel. Jeremy, can you parallel park your truck?
I can do it with my truck. I'm pretty good parallel parker. Well, I haven't tried it with the bus yet.
Well, we need to bring you out there and let you see what's going on.
Now you said it was great pay. Exactly how much an hour is your starting bus driver?
Our starting bus driver, to bring you in to start training you, is just over $20 an hour. Once you pass, it goes to over $21 an hour. And Jeremy, you've been a big proponent of everything that we do here. You know that in the last 3 years, our drivers that were here 3 years ago are making $10 more an hour than they were 3 years ago. It's because Tolleson, they respect their people, they take care of their people. So you need to come to Tolleson and work for us because I don't know what the next 3 years are gonna look like, but I can tell you that if the past is indicative of what Tolleson is able to do, we're in a good spot. I think that people come in, if you're a driver at another district and want to come drive for us, we will take you. We will get you in, get you behind the wheel. Come and make more money. If you're going to do the job anyway, come and make more money where you'll like the work environment. This year we've already had a couple potlucks. We've had, things that we do for our drivers. We try to make sure that they feel like they're valued. A lot of places don't do that. So come work for Tolleson. It's a great place.
Yeah, I tell you, some great hot dogs you guys are grilling there the other day.
We're trying to get you to eat a vegan one. You said no.
No, I wasn't going to do the vegan one. It was hard enough stomaching David's Dodgers baseball hat.
I know. It's sad.
But if anyone can make it past that, there are plenty of Diamondbacks fans here too. So I mean,
we call them Diamond Dogs.
Down.
I mean, the ones that I grilled were Diamond Dogs. So
absolutely, that's the one I had too.
Right,
I only had a Diamond Dog. I didn't touch any of those Dodger dogs.
Right.
Let's talk about, so like we have great people, great pay, great benefits. But let's talk about the actual work schedule itself. So, like you said, you're on the same schedule with your students if you have students, but maybe you're retired. Like, what exactly does that work schedule look like? Like, how early in the morning do bus drivers report? How long is that break in the middle of the day, and when does their day typically end?
So our drivers generally start at like between 5 and 5:30, depending on their route, between 5 and 5:30 in the morning. They go out on their morning routes. They're back by 8:30 or so, and then they're off generally until the 1:30. They come back in and do their afternoon routes. Now, you're guaranteed 30 hours a week as a bus driver, but I will tell you that I've got bus drivers that do trips. They do sports trips. Right now, football, of course, is huge. So on a Thursday or Friday night, we're taking the football team, we're taking the band, we're taking the cheerleaders, we're doing all of that. So I've got drivers, Jeremy, that last week got over 60 hours. So they're getting paid the overtime for anything over 40. But I've got drivers that if you want to work, the work is available. In the middays between 8:30 when they come in from their morning shift and the 1:30 when they go out on the afternoon shift, there's a ton of things that I have drivers do. We can take buses to our vendors to be fixed. There's lots to do. There are field trips in the middle of the day. There are a lot of things that people can do. So don't be scared by just the 30 hours guaranteed a week. We've got drivers that are doing 40 plus just every week.
So it's really on the driver how much they want to work. If you want to do 30 hours and just do regular routes, you can do that. If you want to pick up some extra routes,
I've got work
some
available.
overtime, there's extra work available for that. If you'd like to travel, how far do our drivers go? Like what is some of the locations where we've sent drivers out either for field trips or other events, where like how far do they actually travel on these buses?
When we're fully staffed, our drivers go to Flagstaff, they go to Yuma, they go to Bullhead City, they go to Tucson. They can be all over the state. When we have band competitions or sporting events, AIA events, whatever, things like that, we go all over the state.
Now, when we look outside the state, what about, I know students sometimes take trips to Disneyland. Do our drivers ever drive them out there for some of those, or we outsource some of that?
No, we outsource that. I mean, it's a lot more liability, I think, for us to do something like that. So yeah, we outsource things like that.
So most of the opportunities will be all over the state. Usually back on the same night.
Yes, absolutely. Usually. Now, and then the other thing too is if you're a sporting fan, you love high school football, come drive for us, because I can put you on the high school football team's bus or whatever. You can drive that, or you can drive whoever, the band or the cheerleaders that are going there. You get into the game for free. So you get to go see high school football for free. I just want another one of the benefits.
Well, and while we're talking about football, I know you guys have been participating in some special events, Luke Air Force Base, State Farm Stadium, NASCAR. What are some of the special events you guys have had the opportunity over the last few years to participate in and send our drivers out to help provide extra transportation?
So during the Super Bowl, or during was it
the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I guess it was the Super Bowl. This a couple of years ago, we provided 35 buses for the Super Bowl. We did nothing but just moving people from. We picked them up at the state fairgrounds, and basically it was workers going to the Super Bowl. Jeremy, that started at 1 o'clock in the morning. We were there from 1 o'clock in the morning, taking people to State Farm Stadium. We had 35 buses that ran for 8.5 hours that day, making sure that we could get people there. Luke Air Force Base Days. Luke Days was a huge success for us. Again, we had, I think we had 40 buses for Luke Air Force Base Days. And we shuttled over, I think the count was we shuttled about 200,000 people from the lot that we were at into Luke Days, and then shuttled them back to their cars. Amazing event. Again, when we're asked if we can do things, the answer is always yes. We love for our Tolleson buses to be seen. Our drivers take pride in their buses. We make sure that they're clean. I mean, it really looked good. I cannot wait to get some of these electric buses and things like that. Again, showing that we're doing everything that we can for the people in our district.
Yeah, so it sounds great, doing a lot, not just for our students, but also for our staff, that you become a driver. There's plenty of opportunities for not only extra work, but even to be a part of these special events that take place here in the West Valley.
I will say one more thing too, just
Yes.
real quickly. Bus driving may not be what you want to do for the rest of your life, but I will tell you that my daughter started as a bus monitor, became a bus driver, didn't know what she wanted to do in life. But she decided when she became a bus driver, she decided she wanted to get into school finance. Bless her heart. I have no idea why. She went to college. She did all of this stuff. Now she's an accountant for another school district here in the Valley. Bus driver may not be what you want to do for the rest of your life, but it's a good way to get into a school district, a good way to start building your retirement program. A great environment, a good way to see what's happening. A school district's going to have what you need to do for your life, and I guarantee the benefits outweigh a lot of the other options that you have.
Well, and on that note, if you become a bus driver, we pay for your college education.
That's
so we
true.
have
Absolutely.
we have our tuition reimbursement programs and our degree setups where we can help them get educated to move into another role if bus driving isn't what they want to do forever.
Absolutely. Why are we not fully staffed? That's the question.
I agree with you 100%. Everybody should want to be here.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about some of the latest technological developments with buses. So let's go with the app. Here Comes the Bus. What exactly is Here Comes the Bus, and what do we have to do to be able to use this app?
So it's a great app. It's one of the best things that's happened to our district in a long time. Here Comes the Bus. Parents can go online, download Here Comes the Bus. They put in their email address, our district number, which is 29959. It'll ask for that information. Once that information's in, it asks for a password. You can set up your student in Here Comes the Bus with your student ID number. Then the parents can see when the kids scan on and off the bus. All of our buses are equipped with a tablet, and they scan on the bus so the parents know when the students are on the bus, where they get on the bus, where they get off the bus. And the cool thing about it is when you download the app, you've got the ability then to set parameters. So you can set a parameter, a 1.5 mile radius of your student's bus stop. And when the bus comes into that geofenced area, it'll alert the student, it'll alert the parent, whoever is on that app with the credentials for that student. It'll alert them that the bus is 2 minutes away. It's just a great app. Again, it lets the parents know when the students get on the bus, so that if a student decides not to go to school, the parent can automatically know about that. Once you get to the school, we can clear it. I mean, we can clear every student off the bus. But what's really cool is then in the afternoons, the parents know where the students get off the bus in the afternoon, which is more important to us. Once the student's on the bus in the mornings, we know they're getting off at the school. A lot of times in the afternoons, parents aren't quite sure where their kids are getting off. So this is a great app.
All right, so to download it, the things that they need to know, They need to know our school ID within the app, which is 29959.
Yes, sir.
And they're going to need to know their student ID, which if they don't already know it, they could, if they're in parent view, if they're in anything else, they can find that student ID, or they can always contact the school and just ask the school for that student
Absolutely. And then they can set everything up on the app. It's fairly user friendly, and they can track their students.
All right. So the 29959, the student ID, look for an app called Here Comes the Bus. I'm assuming they can get that in the App Store,
Apple Store, you're right,
or anywhere else where they normally go to download apps.
Absolutely.
They should be able to find
it is on
Here
there.
Comes the Bus.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Now, the advantage of this, so if I'm a parent and I already track my kid's cell phone, and I'm like, well, I already have tracking on my student. I'm not that worried about it because I have a cell phone. I know exactly where they're going, when they're going. But Here Comes the Bus does a little more than that, because you said it will give them alerts on when the bus is getting close to their home, so they know when to really start yelling at their kids about, hey, hurry up, you're going to miss the bus.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And also, if the bus is running late, they can see how far behind the bus is.
They
on
can
schedule.
track that bus from the time it leaves the yard. They can see where that bus is. So if the student says the bus didn't come, they can look on the app and say, well, it was there. It crossed the geofence at 7:35. Bus stop time is 7:38. It crossed there. It was a little early. Typically on our buses, if our buses are running early, they still stay at the stop until, if no students come out, they stay 2 minutes past stop time and then move on.
So you're at work, student calls you, and they're like, the bus never came. Can I just stay home today? You're able to pull up this app and say, no, the bus was there. And since you didn't want to get to the bus stop on time, you can start walking.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that'll be I happen to have a lot of kids myself. I'm not saying that they've ever done that trick on me, but I didn't have Here Comes the Bus back when they were going through high school.
Kids
so
are
it would
kids,
have been helpful.
Yeah. The other thing too, again, in the afternoon, it's more important because we never know. Sometimes the parents don't know that they got off the bus with a friend, 2 stops before they were supposed to get off. And so they get off, and now the kid is lost. With Here Comes the Bus, the kid's never really lost if they scan on and scan off the bus. And again, this is why it's really important for our students to carry their IDs, so that we can record where they are. If they don't have their student ID, they can, in Student View, they can have that on their phone. And we can scan the same technology we can scan with their phones to get on and off a bus. Again, it's very important so that we know where those students are. The other thing, too, is in case of an accident, we are able to pull the data and know exactly who was on the bus at that same time.
Yes, which is important. I know years ago when we didn't have this kind of technology, we did have a bus accident, notified parents immediately, all the parents of students who were supposed to be on that bus at that time, that their student had just been in an accident. And we had a parent said that's very interesting to know, considering they're sitting right next to me. I picked them up today.
Right. Yeah. No, this is a lot better system. Just simply, we can track who's on the bus. The other thing that it does for us, and it's not necessarily important to the parents, but the other thing it does for us is our state reporting. I can now pull live data. I know how many students were actually on the bus. When the driver's trying to make sure that they're talking to every student as they get on the bus, sometimes they don't necessarily count the students correctly. This app gives us all of that information, and it just makes it so much easier for us.
Now, you talked a little bit about how students sometimes have the tendency to want to get off at their friend's bus stop because they have some kind of after school plan with them. But when they're tapping their IDs to get off the bus, our drivers know whether or not that's their stop. So what is our standard approach to that when a student comes up to the driver and says, I'd like to get off at my friend's stop today instead of my stop? We
never let them do that unless there's an administrator that has cleared that. Okay. And generally what happens is the parents have to let the administrators know. They write a note to our drivers know that. But even in that instance, when the student tries to tap off, it'll alert the driver they're not at their correct stop. So at least the driver can call our dispatch team. We can call the school and make sure that it's okay.
Okay, so if you're a parent out there and you want to let your student get off at a different stop because you know they have plans after school to go with their friend, that's fine. You have to call either into the school, into transportation. You have to let somebody know that
Absolutely,
first so
absolutely.
we can get them cleared for that stop. All right, so now they're getting off at the stops. Let's talk about some of the other technology we have available to keep them safe when they get off in the stops. I know it's been highlighted by the media a few times, but the stop arm camera. What additional safety does the stop arm camera bring?
So the stop arm camera works as soon as the stop sign is deployed. We're able to see if drivers are running the stop arm, which is helpful when we start to complain about it. It's student safety at that point. But there are cameras all around our buses. We've got cameras inside our buses. We've got cameras on the outside. The new buses that we have coming in, actually, we've got 3 on the ground today. We've got 5 more coming in. Those are equipped with the cameras on the other side of the bus, so the entrance side, so that we can catch student activity at the bus stops. We generally can see just about everything that happens from the time we start the stop. We turn on our yellow lights, open the doors, the red lights come on, the stop arm comes out. We can see everything around that bus that's happening. We've caught with that technology, we catch students get off the bus in the afternoons and decide to have some kind of a confrontation. We catch that kind of video, and it's very helpful for our district, for our schools, for our SROs to see that information and be able to help our student population.
So we have cameras, so we have eyes in the bus capturing all activity that takes place on the bus. We have eyes around the bus capturing a 360 view around the bus. We have the stop arm cameras monitoring traffic when the stop arm camera is deployed. On those stop arm cameras, are you aware of any instances where we've been able to take the footage from a stop arm camera and work with the police department to actually get citations issued
For the
people running the
most
camera?
part, as soon as we send that in, they don't necessarily send a citation. They do send a letter saying that this is what we've observed. Here's the video footage. Sometimes if we need to, but yeah, they're very helpful. So yes.
All right, so we're keeping everything safe, but I know with all this technology, we're moving forward with even more latest and greatest technology. Talk about the electric buses. What can everyone expect when the electric buses get in?
So it's really exciting. We actually have 5 electric. Tolleson has ordered 15 electric buses. We've got 5 of them in the valley right now. I was over at our vendor 2 weeks ago. They had just come in. These buses are phenomenal. There's a lot of advantages to electric buses. I do know that we have. We live in Phoenix, Arizona. So the heat in Phoenix, Arizona, we know that this past year, the heat has just been crazy. We've had record number of days over 100 degrees, over 110 degrees. And by law, our Department of Air Quality says that we're not allowed to idle a bus for more than 5 minutes. So our diesel buses, when we get to schools, our diesel buses can only idle for 5 minutes. So they sit in the hot sun all day long. They get started up to go to the school. Once they get to the school, they have to shut them off after 5 minutes, and then you put students on board. So the buses are naturally going to be hot. With the electric buses, we're not idling. There's no idling to them. We can actually go out and turn the air conditioners on those buses on probably an hour before route time. So that the buses are cooled down. We get to the campus, we don't have to turn the air conditioners off. So the buses should be a lot cooler, a lot more comfortable for our students. Of course, no emissions. They've got great, they're supposed to have great capabilities for, we drive our buses 80 miles a day probably on routes. These buses should be able to go 160 miles easily. So it's 2 days worth of travel on one charge. So we're excited about it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the features on that electric bus. Now, one of the things that long-term stigma over is that when you go with alternative fuels, you're not going to get the power. I don't want to throw certain vehicle makers under the bus, so to speak. But typically when you're thinking of these alternative fuel vehicles, like, oh well, you're sacrificing power to save the environment. But with these electric buses, what are we seeing first with the air conditioning unit? Is it running as well as like what you would get on a diesel bus? So the AC is blowing just as cold, just as powerful on these electric buses as it is on the diesel bus?
They're actually better. Air conditioning on the electric buses are better because there's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, you don't have the heat of the engine, so there's the batteries are cooled with the air conditioner, so it's always the feature is always able to run. So we bring those buses back. If we plug them in between routes, now there's no draw really on the batteries for the bus. So now we've got the buses we could run the air conditioning 3 hours before routes. And so the power on the bus, I've been on these electric buses. I will tell you, there's a lot of training that will have to happen with these buses because they will take off power at stoplights and things like that. Takeoff power is amazing. It's remarkable. You have to feather the accelerator, otherwise it'll set you back in your seat.
So people are going to be surprised, similar to how they were like when Tesla came out to market.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we're comparing how powerful that takeoff is for a Tesla compared to a normal gas powered car. So we're seeing the same thing with the buses then.
Absolutely.
That these electric buses are taking off with more power
Absolutely.
than a diesel bus.
And then you also have to remember that on an electric bus, when you set the settings, it's got regenerative braking, which means that when you let off of the gas pedal, it will start to slow on its own. And while it's slowing, it's actually building the charge back into your batteries.
So with these electric buses, obviously everyone's going to have to get comfortable with them, a little bit more training. What other kinds of changes can we expect? Now, the diesel bus, it has that nice, big, loud diesel engine going with it. What does this sound like on an electric bus?
It's so funny because on a diesel bus, we get calls all the time that buses are speeding through the neighborhood because and what it is, it's so loud. Once the turbos kick in on a bus, it sounds like an airplane taking off. So we get residents that will call and say, your bus is speeding. We look on GPS, it's going 23 miles an hour through a neighborhood, and it just sounds bad. The electric buses are so quiet. In fact, they've had to build in some noise on the bus, so there's a way that people know that it's in the area. But even at that, it's very quiet.
So they had to fix a little noise to the bus. So is it going to sound like an ice cream truck coming through the neighborhood now? It's gonna we got bells and whistles going off, or
I mean, if it's a moneymaker, we can probably put some ice cream under the bin doors or whatever. No, it's still going to be very quiet. But people just have to pay attention, just like they do with any other bus, any other vehicle on the road.
Which gets back to them really needing the app, because if you're used to hearing the bus come, you're like, oh no, as soon as that bus gets in the neighborhood, we know it's coming. We know it's not garbage pickup day, and there's only 2 vehicles that come through our neighborhood making that kind of noise. We know when the bus is here.
Yeah.
But when we switch to electric buses, if they don't have the app, they're not going to hear that bus coming, and their student is going to miss it if they were expecting to hear it before they run out the door.
Absolutely right. Yeah, it's going to be really nice. And again, it's environmentally friendly. I know that you have for a long time. You've been a champion of alternative fuels, and this is just one of those things that I think is going to be really good for our district. Once we get power pulled in for these buses, just making sure that we're doing everything that we can. For our students, for our parents, just making everything nice for Tolleson.
All right. Well, appreciate you coming on to the show, Bert.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, and appreciate all of our viewers for tuning in once again to the Education Exchange, where we tee off these conversations to enlighten our parents and empower our students. Thank you again for tuning in.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, want more information, or would like to be a guest on the Education Exchange, please send us an email. at podcast@TUHSD.org. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and tune in next week to the Education Exchange. You can catch all episodes on your favorite streaming devices or directly at www.tuhsd.org/podcast.